Chapter 11. A spectacular end of the year. For a week now, some employees, gardeners, and electricians have been preparing the Koya Countries Club lunch, hanging the garlands of lights, making the stage for the orchestra, and setting up the chairs and tables around the pool to celebrate the sensational New Year's Eve party. Rosalinda, her friend Lila, and other secretaries get ready for the big night. The hairdressers is full as they all want to look stunning for the occasion. Rosalinda has bought a red suit with small white polka dots, which are very fashionable. The skirt is gotted style and the bodice has a halter neck. The white mother of pearl belt buckle match her earrings. She wears comfortable heels for dancing. Her honey-colored hair is tied back with a velvet ribbon. At 10 o'clock, the group of girls head to the club. The orchestra is playing a Cole Porter tune. Some couples are dancing on the dance floor and others are drinking champagne. The girls are seated at the reserved table number 22. "This is our table," said Lila. A waiter approaches to serve them refreshments and a tray of horse de vue. There is a group of colleagues watching them from the bar, and when they see them, they raise their hands to greet them. Some approach them and ask to dance. The hall is full and the master of ceremonies stops the orchestra to announce that in 30 minutes the year will end. At that moment, other guests enter, among them Tom, who looks extremely elegant, with an off-white thread-colored suit that contrasts with his navy blue shirt. He is also wearing caramel brown shoes. His whole attire makes his personality stand out. Some women turn to look at him and he walks forward smiling. He knows he's a winner. He's cool. He takes advantage of the music and as he passes by, he grabs a girl and gives her a couple of turns to show off his dancing skills. Rosalinda observes and instantly realizes that it is her toothache patient. She sighs deeply and at the same time feels her heart speed up a little, although she pretends not to feel it. The master of ceremony begins to count down. 10, 9, 8, and at the stroke of midnight, an explosion of balloons, streamers, clinking glasses, and champagne toast usher in the new year 1938. Rosalinda feels arms around her and embrace her, telling her, "Happy New Year, Doctor." She's startled, but when she turns around and sees that it's her patient, she responds, "What a surprise to see you here. Greetings to you as well." They can hardly hear each other as the music is very loud. Some toast, others return to the dance floor, and at that moment, the orchestra plays the romantic melody Blue Moon, and Tom invites her to the center of the room, where their friendship begins to grow. Between dances and drinks, he takes the opportunity to tell her about his lonely life in the mountains and his inseparable friend Willie, with whom she shares a room. The evening lasts until 5 in the morning. "What a good night," comments the guests as they leave the country club. The girls head for their homes, and some of the men board a waiting railroad to take them back to the Sewell camp. In mid-February 1938, Rosalinda takes a vacation with her friend Isabel. They go to Cartagena, a very popular seaside resort at that time. In the mornings, they enjoy the beach, sunbathing and taking a few dips in the sea. At the afternoon, they stroll along the seafront, watching the tourists as they contemplate the sunset. On their way back to the Miramar Hotel, where they were staying, they stop at the hotel's terrace and order their favorite drink, cinchano on the rocks with lemon, to distract themselves with the comings and goings of the guests. It was already the last weekend for them, and they took advantage of the beach early in the morning, lying on their deck chairs under the sunshade to enjoy the sea breeze and the view. In the distance, a couple of swimmers can be seen, who stand out offshore for their swimming skills. The waves lift them up and rock them like fish. After a while, the sea current drags them to the shore. They stand up and walk towards them. At that instant, Rosalinda is surprised, takes off her sunglasses to see better, and recognizes Tom's handsome figure. "Look, Isabel, is Tom the one I told you about?" The young man continued to walk towards them. Which one?" asked her friend, The tall one, the one in the blue bathing suit. Looks like he saw me. Indeed, Tom had recognized her for a while. He and his friends continued to approach, flaunting their good looks. Isabel asked, "And who's the other one with him?" "I don't know," says Rosalinda. "He must be his roommate, a man named Willie. I think they've known each other from childhood. They studied together at a boarding school in Antofagasta." Upon reaching them, Tom bends down to greet his doctor warmly and introduces his friend. "Here's Willie." "And she, Isabel," Rosalinda answers without flinching. "What a pleasant surprise," says Tom, lying down on the sand beside her. Willie sits down next to Isabel, and they quickly strike up a pleasant conversation. Tom and Rosalinda are silently gazing at the horizon, and suddenly he says, "The sun is very hot. Can I have some of your suntan lotion?" She looks at him and holds out her little bottle. He smears his legs and arms, and then turns around and asks her, "Would you put suntan on my back?" Rosalinda does not answer him, but immediately empties some of the oil into her hands and spreads it delicately. He gives a deep sigh, turns, and faces her. She looks down, pretending not to see him. The evening is falling. "It's time to go back," says Isabel. They all stand up and make their way back to the hotel while enjoying the twilight. "How about eating together tonight?" suggests Willie. "My treat. Is 8 o'clock good in the dining room?" "Yes, great," they answer. In the room, they are whispering to each other and carefully grooming themselves. They want to dazzle them, because it will be their vacation farewell and they are getting ready to have a good time. Rosalinda senses that Isabel has taken a liking to Willie and asks him, "Did you like the short man?" "And what does his height matter? He has nice eyes and is very nice and gentlemanly. Look how he invited us to dinner. Tomorrow I'll be bored with my parents in Santiago, so bless his invitation." "And what about me? I'll have to go back to camp to check mouths and pull teeth," Rosalinda replies. "Tonight is our night," they both say at the same time and burst out laughing. Without a minute's delay, the four of them meet at the entrance to the dining room. A waiter leads them to the table in the corner under a window. "This one is perfect, because from here you can see the moon," he says. "Great," Tom replies. "The night is we're falling in love." He never misses an opportunity to be gallant. They order a bottle of white wine and buttered sea bass. Everyone toasts and laughs. At the end of the meal, they decide to go out to the terrace because the night feels warm and the sky is silver with so many stars. Tom points out to them, "That is the Southern Cross, and that one is Sirius." "Which one is the Big Dipper?" asks Isabel. "That one is best seen in the Northern Hemisphere. We rarely see it in the South," Tom replied. They gaze at the sky while he continues to show off his astronomical knowledge. At that moment, Willie realizes his friend's intentions and invites Isabel inside for a drink. Tom, pointing to a star, moves closer to Rosalinda. He takes her by the shoulders, sliding his hands to her waist. He turns her to face him and presses his nose to her neck, intoxicating himself with her delicious rose perfume, and murmurs, "I'm going crazy for you." He gently kisses her neck and presses his body to hers, feels her erect breast, and kisses her lips passionately. She lets herself go, faints with pleasure in his arms while he continues to caress her hair, beginning a stormy love that will last for more than half a century. The following week, back at camp, Tom asked the telephone operator to put him through the dental clinic and always replied, "The line is busy. Call back later." He tries every day at different times but is unable to reach the doctor, and patience is destroying him. On the weekend, he asks for a pass to go down to the camp to visit Rosalinda. He shows up at her house unannounced. It is midday and she's surprised, but happy to see him. "I couldn't wait any longer," he says after kissing her. She laughs and answers I'm glad you came. I'm going out to buy some groceries. He accompanies her, and they walk hand in hand through the gardens to the grocery store. Buongiorno, doctor. How have you been? Asked Luigi. And you, Valdez? How strange to see you here, he asked mischievously. I'm on a walk, and I came to greet the doctor. If you order now, I can send you the order, as the bambino is ordering the tricycle for delivery, he informs them. Fantastic, Tom replies. I'll be the cook today. I need pasta, fresh tomatoes, basil, cream, some mushrooms, and a nice red wine like you have under the counter for your special customers. The Italian bends down and takes out a Concha y Toro bottle of wine. They return home when it's already noon. The boy arrives with the order. Seeing the door open, he asks permission to enter the kitchen and leave it on the counter. Thank you, Tom says, handing him a bill as a tip. I'm not much of a cook, she excuses herself. It doesn't matter. I'm an excellent cook. Today, I will prepare fettuccine. She cuts the tomatoes, basil, some fresh vegetables, and adds other condiments. She takes a fine white tablecloth from the buffet and spreads it on the dining table, where she puts cutlery, napkins, glasses, and the bottle of wine. While the sauce is cooking, Tom uncorks it and lets it oxygenate and then serves it. The food is ready, he reports. Rosalinda puts the dishes on the table as they sit down to eat. It smells delicious, she exclaims. Let's toast to this moment, he adds. At the end of lunch, they sit on the couch listening to music and talking about their favorite hobbies, among other trivia. On weekends, I go down to the Cachapa Club in the city to practice tennis and share with the boys, he tells her. I bowl with my friends on Friday afternoons. The day is gone and he looks at his watch. I must go. It's time for the last railroad, he says as he stands up, hugs, and kisses her. Thank you. It was a fantastic day. I'll see you next weekend. I'll call you later in the week. She pulls back the window curtain and watches him walk away. He turns, raises his hands, and gives her his best smile. Chapter 12. Family Meeting. 6 months after a more formal romance between them, Rosalinda invites Tom to a luncheon at her parents' home. He arrives promptly wearing an elegant suit. He brings a bouquet of flowers for his sweetheart and a box of chocolates to flatter his intended mother-in-law. The family is waiting for him. Rosalinda introduces him to her parents and each of her siblings. Tom immediately wins everyone's admiration for his refined manners and good education. When he comes to the table, he is seated next to the host, Don Orlando. During lunch, he enlivens the evening by telling them about his and his mother's life, about her being a foreigner and living in the north with his older sister. He also tells them about his life in the snowy mountains of Seawolf. Everyone listens to him attentively as he expresses himself with ease. The conversation seems more like an entertaining storytelling. The younger sister, Rebecca, gets up in the kitchen and whispers to the nanny who raised them. He's a gallant and handsome gentleman, perfect for Rosalinda. The woman takes a large fruit tray. I'll take the tray to the dining room to look at him. After the after-lunch conversation, the host and his wife get up to take a customary nap. Rosalinda invites Tom to a small sitting room and asks him, What did you think of my family? Excellent, he replies. I think I'm already one of them. She smiles, Tom hugs her, and at the same time tells her as always, I must go. It's time for the last railroad. I promise I'll call you tomorrow. The Champion's Wedding. August 1939. Tom has been trying all afternoon to reach Rosalinda, but the operator keeps telling him to try again. After several times, he manages to hear his beloved's voice on the other end of the line. He greets her. Hello, my darling. I finally got you. How are you? I'm fine. Just a little tired. I've had a lot of patients today. What about you? I'm just calling to invite you to lunch on Saturday at the Cachapaol Tennis Club. We have a tournament and I will be playing early. If you want to see how I annihilate my opponent, you're invited about 11 o'clock in the morning on the card. She thinks, how arrogant. The operator opens the line, interrupting the conversation. When she sees they are still talking, she gets out. They both know how the telephone system works, and they know the operators, who are always on the lookout. They recognize the voices, the clandestine romances between bosses and secretaries, the office gossip, and so on. Tom is friends with all of them. Whenever he sees them in the country club, he buys them a drink, and they compensate him with extra minutes, because the time was restricted to allow other calls to come in. We have to hang up, says Rosalinda, aware that the operator was listening. Saturday, we'll see each other on the court. Early that day, Willie and Tom board the train to Rancagua. They go straight to the club. They wear shorts and a white sweater with navy blue trim, typical tennis player attire. There, they join the other players practicing, and both will be coupled in a double set. Soon after, Rosalinda and her friend Isabel, who has come all the way from Santiago to spend the weekend with Willie, show up. They have been having an affair since they met in Cartagena and are soon to be married. The young woman set up in the stands to cheer them on. Tom starts the match with a spectacular serve, and the opponent doesn't even see the ball. In the distance, he spots his girlfriend, winks at her, and bites the right side of his mustache, his usual gesture when he's happy or nervous. She greets him by raising her hand and watches in rapt attention as he slides on the clay. She loves his arms and legs, toasted by the sun, as they give him the look of a professional athlete. Isabel interrupts her thoughts and says, "They're winning a set." She doesn't even notice when they are already ahead of their opponents again and end up victorious. After a while, they meet in the dining room to have lunch and receive their awards. At the end of the ceremony, Willie surprises Isabel by giving her his trophy and asks her to marry him. The young woman was overcome with emotion, and Tom told her the waiter to bring champagne to toast with his friends and seal the engagement. As evening fell, they had to return to Sewell. Willie and Isabel married a few months later and moved to the Biobío region. After graduating as a metallurgic engineer, Willie was hired by CAP, Steel Company of the Pacific, as a part of a project of the steel company in the town of Huachipato, Talcahuano. With the departure of his partner and almost brother, Tom feels very lonely in the mountains, far from his beloved. Therefore, he decides to talk to Mr. Chami, superintendent of the electricity department in Coya, to ask him to consider him if a position in the camp becomes available. Mr. Chami, knowing that he is having an affair with Dr. Torrealba, for whom he has a special affection, agrees to the request. The couple is happy, as they will see each other almost every day. It isn't long before Tom startles Rosalinda with a riot of violins and guitars at the door of her house. He had hired a trio of musicians to propose to her, and was bringing 2 glasses and a wine to celebrate the yes. Rosalinda, almost breathless with shock, took a sip and dismissed the singers immediately, giving them the rest of the bottle. All in all, she felt happy, for at last a horizon of expectations was opening up before her, in which to build a stable family with a special man who loved her. It was summer, and everything happened very quickly. After the religious ceremony in the historic church of La Merced in Rancagua, the banquet was held at the Cachapaol Tennis Club. However, on this important occasion for Tom, his mother could not attend, as she was living in La Serena with her daughter Esmeralda. On their honeymoon, they traveled to Lima, where Rosalinda took the opportunity to visit her brother Carlos and introduce him to her husband. Carlos was the youngest of the brothers and the one who always had conflicts with his father, being considered the black sheep of the family. As a young man, he liked parties and a good life. In addition, in Rancagua, he had fallen in love with a married older woman than him, with whom he had a clandestine affair. When her husband found out, he threatened to shoot him. For this reason, he had to flee the country, settling in Peru. There he raised a family and from time to time returned to visit her mother. When Tom and Rosalinda returned from their honeymoon, Mr. Chami gave them a comfortable home in Goya, where they stayed a few years and had their children. The first to come into the world was Baltasar, whom my parents always called the boy. And when I say always, it is always, until my mother died. Then Deborah was born, whom my father named after Grandma Sketty's middle name. And then came Maggie. The birth of Maggie. Post-war, August 2, 1946. Winter blankets the mountains around the mines, and a frosty night made less dark by the reflection of the snow. The camp is dimly lit by the large searchlights of the mine. Next to the soccer field is the maternity hospital, where the children of the employees were born. It was a well-equipped hospital with all kinds of American technology. The corridors were wide, cream-colored, sash windows with roller curtains. The heavy doors closed on automatic hinges. It was past midnight when Rosalinda felt strong contractions and shouted for the Matrona to come. Doña Ricardina arrived immediately, and the laboring woman reported, it's coming, hurry up!" I was born fortunate, not only because I was a healthy and complete child, but also because of the comfort I enjoyed at that time in a place so far away from the developed world. In addition, many years later, a fortune teller corroborated my fortune because I was born at night, at the precise moment when a comet crossed the sky in a positive planetary conjunction. And although I did enjoy valuable opportunities, my life was not a bed of roses, because even at a very young age, some events warned me that pain and challenges are an unavoidable part of this journey. When I was born, it could be said that Rosalinda was alone, because Tom was out partying, missing for a week. The states of nerves that this caused her led her to be hospitalized because of a great pain that paralyzed half of her body. For this reason, my Aunt Esmeralda took care of me during my first months. I did not know that this had happened until she went to visit me in Puerto Rico when I was 50 years old and told me about it. This information revealed why I felt so much admiration and connection with her. She told me that this mysterious affinity was born in the months she took care of me. That is why I had been so special to her, and that she felt very sorry that when my mother, once recovered, came looking for me. It was very painful for her, and perhaps that is why she distanced herself from my family for years. Now I understand that the child that I must have also suffered from both emotional tears in her earliest childhood. In addition to this event, I know of another one that I did not consciously remember either. I have a scar on my little finger that I discovered when I was a teenager, without knowing where it came from. I asked my mother, and she explained it to me. When I was 2 years old and I was barely walking steady in the corridors and furniture, my cousin Chavela closed the door where I rested my hand and cut the tip of my little finger, which was left hanging in a terrifying vision that fortunately I forgot. At the hospital, the doctor wanted to remove the piece, and my mother strictly forbade him to do so. She ordered it stitched and splinted so that I could not move it for 2 days. They did so, and when they uncovered it, the phalanx had adhered perfectly. Thanks to that decision, both my little fingers looked the same size. The truth is that I would never have forgiven Rosalinda for leaving my hand mutilated.